Today we have Siddharth Dhareja in the studio.
Yes.
Hi Siddharth.
Hello.
You are a writer, stand-up comedian and our host for IBM Podcast.
Yes, what a player.
What a player.
Yeah.
So tell us about your show.
It's a show about sports in general, it's different sports. So I follow a few, the other host follows a few.
Okay.
I mainly follow cricket and a little bit of tennis and once in a while badminton.
Okay.
And he follows darts, F1 and other stuff. So yeah, it's just fun. We discuss what's happening in the world of sports.
And I believe you being a stand-up comedian, it's a funny show. You guys.
That's for people to judge. I have no audience, right, to judge in front of me.
Oh yeah, right. Like your usual gig.
Yeah. So if people message me on Instagram, it's funny that I'm like, okay, maybe it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how is it different for you to do a podcast versus do your show? Other than, having live audience?
Podcast is just, so there's not necessary pressure of being funny or anything as such.
Right.
It's just that we tend to go towards funny anyway. But yeah, podcast is it's much more relaxed.
Okay.
We can take our time, discuss things.
At length.
At length, yeah. Not that I have some deep analysis to give out.
Like me.
Yeah, you have a lot of analysis.
Yes.
Because I'm not an expert. I'm a failed sports person, essentially. I've played different sports. From Shivaji Park.
Okay.
Yeah, Acharikar sir was very disappointed in me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, how did stand-up happen? You write for AIB.
I've written for AIB in the past.
Abish and so many people.
Yeah. And that writing is where the money comes from for me because I don't sell auditoriums. So, And once in a while people are we'll pay you for doing stand-up. So that's great. But how did it begin was the question, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was just I had nothing else. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Okay.
It was either copywriting, I guess.
So, go ahead. Do you want to ask me anything based on... Do you know what we are doing here?
I just sounded interesting. So I'm here recording this.
Let me sign up for this.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, literally I signed 3 times.
Yes, signed up 3 times.
Signed up 3 times for this.
Okay, so graphology is a study of handwriting.
Okay.
Which kind of depict your personality in multiple ways.
Oh, okay.
And you remember how one teacher taught us how to write, but everybody developed our own fonts?
Yeah.
So the whole thing about if we had to only copy and paste it in our books, what happened in between? Why everybody developed different handwriting?
Different, yeah. In fact, I won a third consolation prize in handwriting, which means I was 6th out of 60. So that's in the top 10 cream of writers.
No, handwriters.
Handwriters, actually,
good-looking handwriting kind of a thing.
Yeah, what happens to them, the ones who won?
I don't know. What happened? You tell me. Did you take any credit for that good-looking handwriting ever in your life
no,
again?
I have a certificate though at home, I think.
Have you framed it and kept
My
it?
parents would have loved to, but then I think baad aa gayi or something. They lost it.
In Shivaji Park, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So please ask me questions if you have any.
Yeah. Do you like my handwriting?
Do I like your handwriting?
Yeah. Is it neater than other adults who do? Because I write pretty regularly. I mean, not as much, but more than other people for
of
sure.
Course.
Handwriting, handwritten.
Yeah, I get a lot of
stuff.
people who are I haven't written in many years, so how can you analyze me?
Yeah.
So that's not your case. You're saying you write every now and then.
Yeah, every now and then at least.
Having said that, handwriting is such a skill that if you do not write for many, many years, the very moment you start writing, after writing 2-3 lines, it comes back.
It comes back, yeah.
So it doesn't matter in that sense.
Yeah, otherwise people would forget in summer vacation only, how to write.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why probably they give you homework, so you just don't forget. Did you receive that homework?
I never did it. I think.
Lucky you. I had to do it every day. Horrible thing. So I was beaten the most and punished the most for my bad handwriting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Imagine this happened. Yeah, I'm revenge.
Oh man,
I'm gonna get back to
this is a web series of people getting beaten up.
Yeah, pretty much. You too?
Rising against the odds. No, I was beaten up very not so much actually.
Okay.
Luckily. I used to
keep it outside.
Put on a innocent
garb.
face. Yeah, the garb. Yeah.
Okay. So whether your handwriting is good looking, I pretty much don't care.
Okay. Oh man. Okay. That's good to know. But what personality type? What is my personality type?
So let me break it in different parts. Now, you generally do not come across what I'm going to describe this particular trait, but it's very, very important to you.
Okay.
You're highly observant.
Okay.
But also you're observant in a sly manner. You would not like make it obvious. You would not let other people know that you're observing minute details.
Okay.
But you're highly observant. And you keep making notes of, say, discrepancies in their behavior.
Okay.
Or the way they behave and the way they say that they behave. You know, like you notice that. You know, you find those gaps, and you may find them funny or you may find them odd.
Find them evil also at times.
Yeah. That too. So you're like, but how can you? And these are minute things. These are not big habits. These are not like bigger statements people make.
Okay.
These are genuinely small things. They are, you know, somebody's tick, a habit, or keeping things, throwing things around. You observe and absorb all of it.
Yeah.
And that's how you kind of, one, find your content.
Okay.
Secondly, also make friends.
Okay.
You take time to make friends.
Yeah.
You're not somebody who would jump in and, you know, you're friendly, but you would not make friends easily.
Yeah.
You, after having spent time with people, after observing them, after seeing at how many levels do you match, then you actually go about making that, taking that call or making that friendship.
Okay.
So also you have very few friends.
Oh yeah. That is, I didn't want to like, this is what I realized on a Friday afternoon, that I don't have a lot of friends. Yeah, why so though? Like, I don't know.
Why so? Because of your nature being very selective.
Okay.
So it's not only about friends. Everything else in your life, you're very selective.
Yeah.
You make it sound like, yeah, whatever, or what I play. Or like, it's not like that.
Okay.
You're very, very clear about what you want.
Oh.
And sometimes when things do not happen like that, you become cranky and you don't like it and you speak about it. And that's one part of it.
Yeah.
But that crankiness or that irritation comes from the fact that you know exactly what you want. And when you don't get those things, you become cranky.
Yeah.
Very few people are that clear.
Yeah, but like it's also sometimes negative, like it impacts you negatively, like how to handle that.
It restricts you. It also restricts you. Like, for example, if I know exactly what kind of coffee I want, then anything else other than that I might not like it.
Yeah.
And no matter how good that is, I would not even try.
Yeah.
So I feel that's like a confirmation bias or like being colored with your own preferences. So other things which are good are not available to you. Might be available to other people, but not to you.
Yeah.
And I feel that's a challenge because you've already made up your mind.
Yeah, and that happens like food wise. If like I plan if I have to go somewhere for a meeting, I'll plan it according to what I can go and eat somewhere.
Okay.
Or whatever, consume something, for example. But if that doesn't happen, then I'm like there's like a frequency shift where I'm like, alright, now I have to again make this, because it's also about making decisions, right?
Right.
Like you're like, okay, now this is the day, this is what I'll do. And I don't want to eat this, I want to eat this, or whatever. You know, travel in a certain way, travel at this time to beat traffic.
Right.
So, but once something also changes, there's a frequency shift where it's like, alright, now I have to make decisions again.
Right.
Which is like which fatigues like the mind.
Also because the decisions have to be made in a perfect manner.
Yeah.
So the fatigue is about like, I want to get it right all the time.
Yeah.
That is tiring. If you get it right like once or twice, or, you know, like if you prioritize things in a different manner, you're like, okay, these things I cannot compromise on, and the other things I'm okay with. That doesn't happen with you.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, but if I'm doing it, it has to be done in this manner. That perfectionism.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about it also for the listeners a bit.
Okay.
If you're a perfectionist, which is a quality that, you know, generally celebrated.
Yeah.
When you're in school, when you're otherwise talking about in a smaller circle, it's a great thing. But as we grow and as we pick, you know, our careers, that time being a perfectionist gets to us in a very, very different manner.
Okay.
For example, you would restrict the performances. You would restrict the areas that you can explore. Because if you don't get it right, you don't want to go and like make a fool of yourself.
Yeah.
So in a way, you will be more prepared. You'll try to get it right. Great thing. You're more accountable than other people.
Yeah.
At the same time, you won't experiment.
You
know, you won't jump in.
Yeah,
with
this
both.
is like for general.
General.
Yeah,
I'm saying general.
Yeah,
I'm not saying about you, but I'm saying generally.
Okay.
Anybody who's being a perfectionist. For the listeners who are like, you know.
Oh, a perfectionist. Yeah.
So when you are really trying to get something right, it also comes with the other side of like not wanting to fail or not wanting to get it wrong.
Yeah. I had a question actually. when you said about like observing smaller things, it also leads me to like a lot of overthinking.
Yes.
Because what happens is like someone does something small without like, but I'll like try to interpret it in like some 10 different ways.
Don't mind me saying, but also judgmental at times.
Oh yeah, very much judgmental and
Yeah.
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 I mean, yeah, just.
So
wanted-
I always find this, okay? So in handwriting, I get to know so much about a person.
Oh, okay.
So one part of it is assessment.
Okay.
Where you assess, you say, okay, this is black, this is white, and that's the assessment. Then the other part is black is bad, white is good, or like red is loud. Now these are all
Judgments, yeah.
which is very different than assessment. Assessment tells you, okay, this person does like this or behaves this way,
Yeah.
which is a great thing. So you being observant fundamentally is a very good thing.
Yeah.
But then judging the person
Yeah.
or labeling, putting them in different boxes
Yes, yes.
is where the problem begins.
But I'm trying to like reduce on that. I don't know if that shows in the writing. No, oh shit.
So probably what attempts you're making to stop it
Yeah.
are happening, but they haven't become your habit.
Yeah, because I have to break it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anything that becomes your habit becomes a stronger pattern, then it shows in your handwriting.
Oh,
It doesn't show in your handwriting when you're just experimenting with something.
okay.
When it becomes your true habit, if you do it unconsciously, unknowingly, then it becomes your habit.
Oh man. It's going to take me a while
Yeah.
to break these patterns.
So how are you breaking the patterns? Like, is there something you're doing specifically? If you're already like aware of it.
I mean, going to a therapist, I guess, like just understanding what it
Sure.
feels like, yeah, and then writing those like self-journaling type thing.
That's a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
like that's one of the biggest and very, very effective steps to make. I think it's a good one.
Yeah, even if not breaking them, just understanding.
And the very moment
them.
you become aware, I always talk about this. I think the capacity of our brains is amazing.
Yeah.
It can literally get you to a point where the very moment you throw light, it starts solving the problem.
Yeah.
You don't have to do much.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it also in the dark, it looks bigger than what it is.
Yeah, without looking at it for what it is. We keep imagining it to be something
Something
else.
bigger, yeah.
So I'm happy that you have already observed that judgment is not helping you.
Yeah, judgment. Now I'm okay with people.
People being
Yeah.
imperfect.
Yeah, like if I met Hitler
Imperfect.
also, I'd be like, you do you, man.
Oh.
You're into killing Jews, I can't help it. No, just
Okay, I understand you have different preferences. Things like that.
yeah.
So I become a coach at times, and in normal life also I suddenly give like this look to people.
Okay.
I hear you, and people are like, stop being a coach. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Okay.
Especially close people, they know
Yeah.
the coach look on my face.
Oh wow, yeah.
So yes.
So yeah, I'm thinking what area of questioning should I get into?
You can ask anything, and if I can't answer, I'll tell you.
Okay.
You're looking at your own handwriting.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand what questions, like what are the frequently asked questions, if you could only help me with.
So if something is active in your brain,
Yeah.
something you're dealing with nowadays, and if we can like look at it, I might bring in different perspective on that.
Oh, I am chilling these days,
Oh my
partly
God.
because of
why do you want a different perspective on chilling?
as in like I trying to sort out, like I've sorted out a few issues. Obviously issues keep coming and going. Right now there aren't like major ones,
Right.
but I think it's also something to do with the weather, because it was still like good. Like the minute it's going to turn into like summer,
Then you'll be like, oh my God, I have some issues to deal
yeah, then it gets worse. Like my motivation goes down.
with. Really?
Yeah, I have an issue with the sun for some reason.
I don't think I can help you looking at your handwriting.
Oh
on that one.
man, some D3, D2, I don't know. Yeah. And
So what have you gathered?
someone told me that you come across as a very self-involved person.
Yeah,
Kavita.
our pod mother.
Yeah, she said that I'm very self-involved. And
She thought you are very
she thought, yeah, and I don't know what to think about.
So before I even comment about it,
Mm-hmm.
what do you understand by self-involved?
I just feel I do what I feel like doing,
Right.
and that changes every
Every-
few days or every day or few minutes also.
Okay. So I would talk about you being driven by your current impulses, whatever is in front of you.
Yeah.
You know how kids are curious about the games that they play.
Yeah.
And when if the teacher comes up with a new game, they get curious about that.
Yeah.
And if something else interesting comes, they get curious about that.
Yeah.
Now, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Depends on where you want to go.
Okay.
If you want to, like, if you look at your career as a large, long-term, large-scale thing, then having focus is an important thing.
Yeah.
And you lack that.
I lack focus. Yeah.
You kind of jump from one space to another, to another, to another. So I don't know about how other people look at it, but I would say for you to own up that space or to say, if I'm saying this, I will deliver, becomes difficult because you don't know whether you will or not.
Yeah.
You know, forget about other people thinking yourself involved. When you ask yourself the question that, can I take this bigger project? You don't know. And this is where I feel it's little challenging.
Okay.
I don't, like, if other people think you're self-involved and in that process you find and discover something which is your path, you want to go, it could be a good thing.
So how do I improve that?
So to begin with, setting the idea of where you want to go.
Okay.
You know, it's not like setting a goal, how much money I want to make, how many shows, not like that. But fundamentally understanding, what do I want to do?
Okay.
That I can truly, you know, with complete dedication work at. Do you have anything in mind like that?
I'll have to think about it.
Right.
I mean, there are multiple things.
Right.
And that's like a direction, but like not a specific goal.
We don't have to have a goal, but we have to have a direction that you feel dedicated about.
Yeah.
You know, right now I feel you do not feel that excited.
Yeah.
Like, people talk about this goal setting idea, and you know, being a high performance coach, I've heard this a lot, and people want to perform better and they say, okay, set goals, blah blah. And my true my internal process to this had been throughout that if the goal is not really important, you'll forget it anyways.
Yeah.
If it is truly important, you'll not forget it anyways.
Yeah, you don't need to write it down that I have to do this.
You know, it helps to write it down, but it is not about whether you write it or not. It's about whether you feel that connected to this idea or not.
Yeah.
Which I feel you are not even considering.
Like what? Sorry.
Like, really finding what you want to do or why do you want to do it. You know, like, what is that exact thing that you would like to master? You would like to build your skill around.
Yeah.
We were talking about Zakir Hussain some time back, and he truly figured his space, and it is dedication to work at it, his skill and his art, and you know, it's like so many years and so many hours must have gone through to become that.
Yeah.
Now, if he would have changed his mind or would have jumped into something else and say, I don't know whether I want to do this. If that would have happened, then we wouldn't have seen the master that we do.
Yeah, like I feel like it's a focus thing. Like, it's like even when I was like small, I used to get like toys and then play with them for like 10-15 days, but like not do anything, forget everything else, play with it. And then the minute I got like bored, I used to just throw it as if it was like...
It was never there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I used to see it after a few years and be like, this is whatever.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah, it's whatever. And but like, motivation also, like, I don't know.
So that must be happening with your friendships also, relationships also. That when you get really curious about a person, you want to know everything about the person. You observe them closely, you want to, you know, like, get involved, know about it. And then once you say, okay, this is not working and that is not working, and you know, this is okay and that is okay.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much not accepting the situation, but staying on the periphery.
Yeah.
And looking at it as if you're judging it or, like, you know, analyzing it too much. Whatever is your process.
It's like standing outside a pool and trying to like
see how... Yeah, and then like looking at how people swim. And if they're not swimming well or well according to you, then wondering whether you want to jump in.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot with everything pretty much.
Man, this is like, I don't know if I should feel good or bad about this.
See, I feel just knowing about certain aspects is helpful.
Yeah.
So now next time when you do this or this happens, you probably can catch yourself. If not in your journaling, when you review your day, you're like, oh, exactly, that happened.
Yeah.
So having a newer perspective to look at yourself is a good thing.
Yeah.
But no trait is good or bad. I have seen very self-involved people just channelizing what they're involved in and creating amazing results. So if you're self-involved and you just create a slight direction about, if I know I observe people very closely, can I switch that? Can I shift that? Can I make it more interesting for myself? Or channelize that energy? Then it is cool.
Then it's cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because like...
you can't change everything about yourself. And you need not.
Yeah, in fact, just channelize whatever is there. Yeah. And like, motivation is also like I don't have any like particular questions. But yeah, like I always try to like look for motivation in a certain thing that I'm doing. And sometimes I just can't find it.
That's actually a great question. Many people have this problem.
Yeah.
They're like, I feel excited about something, like including your workout, your diet, anything that you can pick up.
Yeah.
You feel excited in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I must tell you this. Can you look at your letter G here?
Yeah.
Or that is also applicable to some forms of J or Y.
Yeah.
We call all of them as a lower zone handwriting. You know, like which comes
below the line. Yeah.
Now, there you start the stroke, you finish it 60%,
and
in most cases, you do not complete the loop. You know, sometimes we don't even know we are supposed to complete the loop. But you remember the old proper handwriting that we learned? We were meant to complete it. But as we are, as people, we pick up our thinking patterns, and handwriting is just mimicking or mirroring it.
Okay.
So in this case, when we look at your letter Y or J or G, now you start your work, you do it 50%, and you keep striving for stimulations. Okay, and initially when it is challenging, when you cannot do it, and some new concept comes and you have to do research around, you love it. And then comes a point where you feel, I got it.
Okay.
And that is the moment where the decline begins.
Oh yeah, man, why? Like I feel like a 70% all the time.
Yeah, you're like, I got it, I figured it out. And you're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And the next moment is whatever.
Yeah, so how to go from that moment essentially to like a 90% or 100%? Like that's like that's a challenge.
Right. So I feel one thing you can do is like when you see yourself indulging way too much intellectually.
Yeah.
Like probably you give yourself a physical task. You know, it is not about getting how amazing this diet is, but going through it for a month and then making an opinion.
Okay.
So if you form your opinion, then you're not interested.
Yeah.
If you've already judged it and labeled it, you're not interested. Know that about yourself.
Yeah.
Even, people you meet. If you've figured them out, you're not interested.
Yeah.
But if you're still figuring them out, if you still want to like pick up challenges with them, with your diet or with whatever you work out, whatever you pick up.
Or writing for that matter.
If you say, okay, it is, I've heard like some writers have this routine or regime because they also have this intellectual challenge and then they get over with it and they don't never finish the books or scripts they pick up.
Yeah.
So they say, okay, every day I'm going to write X number of pages, 1, 2, 3, depending on how committed they are.
Yeah.
And do it no matter what.
Yeah.
So I may write shit, but that's okay. I might write something that is completely irrelevant and, just pretty much, vomiting whatever I have in my mind. But that's okay too. The act of finishing 30 days, 42 days, whatever number you decide is more important in your case than getting it.
Getting it right.
Getting it intellectually.
Yeah. Okay. It also fits in with the first half of the conversation, which is like if you don't get it right, there's no point.
And if you get it right, then you're uninterested.
Yeah.
You're suddenly like switched off. You're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a very weird situation to be in.
No, I think it is a very millennial situation also.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very, very common situation.
Yeah, like once your curiosity is dead, you're like out of it.
Also, you want every gratification now.
Yeah.
All of us are getting trained into it.
Instant.
If some app is not working, if the website is not loading, if this is not happening, I'm like, okay, let me go to something else.
Yeah.
That works for me right now. Now, the most interesting part about our brains is if we practice a pattern, that becomes normal. And no matter what that pattern is.
Yeah.
If you are used to not putting in a lot of efforts, no matter what you do, that's okay. You start looking at life like that.
Yeah.
If you're used to working out very hard, we have met those people.
Yeah.
If they do light workout, they're like, आज
मजा
लग
नहीं,
नहीं रहा है.
yeah.
I don't think I've worked out today.
Yeah.
Now, whatever, no matter how tough or light or difficult or easy that the act is, if you train your mind again and again, it becomes normalized.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so it's all about training your mind.
Highly.
Okay. So then, yeah, some people also told me, like someone told me recently, I come across as a very serious person. And I thought that was like very, I don't know how to process it, because I don't think I come across as a very serious person at all, actually. In fact, people just a lot of times dismiss me for being like
Too funny?
or like just lame, for example. Like, yeah.
Okay. So, when people talk about serious, now a part of you, only you would agree with it because you talk so much. But you know that you...
I talk so much. Like, is
You
that
do.
a part of the... Or you gauged it from...
No, you generally
Okay.
talk so much. Like, like for work,
Yeah.
generally you have opinion. As a person, you
Yeah.
love to express yourself.
Yeah.
But you are an introvert. And when you are an introvert, which means you do not initiate conversations, you would not feel suddenly friendly around people. You may pretend that you are friendly, but you take your own time. And if somebody observes that, for them that is being serious.
Oh.
So it's not serious because of your jokes or what you speak.
Yeah.
At times people also gauge serious people
Yeah.
as they look at it. I don't understand the concept fully. Like, what is serious people?
Yeah.
But that means somebody who's, difficult to approach. Who
Oh.
you may feel slightly intimidated by.
Oh, wow.
Also,
I didn't know I would intimidate people.
Also, you like when people go like, oh, that shock moment
Yeah.
you like. If not intimidation, you love shock moment.
Yeah, I like shock moments, no
Yeah.
matter where they come
Yeah,
from.
exactly.
Yeah.
So if you have shocked the person might have felt intimidated.
Yeah.
And you do shock people.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like that actually.
You're
about
like, now let me add that to my persona. is
yeah,
it?
yeah. That's and why am I like constant, like I'm on and off with like diets. Like I can work out almost like 4 to 5 times a week, no problem.
Okay.
But when it comes to diet, I keep falling off, coming back, falling off. There's no dedicated. I know my goal is this close. Again, the 70%
Yeah.
conversation.
Having said that, I do not feel, looking at your writing, you're convinced about a diet.
Okay, yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
It keeps changing every month or 2 months. That
Exactly. So if you're not convinced,
yeah,
knowing you as a person now, you won't do things, no matter how profitable, correct they are.
yeah,
You have to be convinced. Right? So
Yeah.
you're one of those people who would collect a lot of data, like open lots of websites on the same topic.
yeah,
Do you read books?
yeah.
Okay, so you gather books and you want to read them, and you will read them one day.
Yeah.
At least you promise yourself
Yeah,
that, but that
yeah.
doesn't
Oh my
mean you
God.
go through all of them and read it and
Yeah.
do the research. But it helps. It brings a lot of comfort for you to make your choices. With diet, no particular dietitian or person has convinced you enough
Yeah.
into the process. So half-heartedly you won't be able to do anything. That's not your game.
Yeah, but in a way that's affecting me only because I'm so close to my goals. It's just that, and I know there are multiple ways of doing it.
Yeah.
It's just that I don't want to I just find I find pros and cons in every.
But because you're not convinced. The day you would be convinced about something, so probably, fooling yourself by starting and stopping diets, you might as well do all the research required to know
Yeah.
what would you like to experiment with,
Yeah.
and do the experiment for 1 month. I think it's a great hack for your brain, and
Yeah.
you must try. And even for the listeners, if you're struggling with any habit formation, please look at experimenting.
Okay.
Like if you pick up an experiment and you say, I'm going to challenge myself to see whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, I have to do it because people do it. It must be done. If you force yourself in anything
Yeah.
or other people,
Yeah.
it must be done. The other part of you goes go to hell and walks
Yeah,
away.
because you're anti-establishment in your own head.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you guys, and you only established it. It's not like some third person.
No. So
Yeah.
you're the authority that you rebel against.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
In handwriting, we call it, only in handwriting, in personal behavioral study, we call it defiant.
Yeah.
So anytime something becomes have to, you have to break it.
Yeah.
break away from it. So, but if it is my experiment, it is my rule, it is my game,
Yeah.
then there is no establishment that I'm fighting.
And it's an easier thought to be like, okay, I'm experimenting and discovering,
Yeah.
as compared to you should do it.
I don't understand you should quite a bit.
Okay.
For me, like, I think I'm also slightly defined that way. So for me, if I'm experimenting, no matter how tough the regime is, I would do it.
Okay.
But the very moment it becomes a rule that one has to follow because somebody has told you. So the very moment I understood this pattern of my brain, I said, okay, wait a minute. That doesn't mean I don't have to do certain things.
Yeah.
That just means I have to hack it different.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
What does the dots above the J and I say?
So generally they talk about detailing.
Okay.
Okay, if they are proper dots. In your case, they are dashes which are like stretched like a cap.
Okay.
So they go like, like they go up and they come down. That means a person with a eye dot which has turned into a dash that moves upwards and comes down.
Yeah.
Like a small cap means clearly
Yeah.
that you are irritated with people around you.
Okay.
And generally the establishment of the world quite a bit.
Oh.
And then you get irritated with yourself for being irritated.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like a very complicated concept.
Oh
but
man.
yeah.
Do you see this regularly?
I see this regularly, yeah. Now I think some part of us is very entitled.
Yeah.
We believe that if I go to a restaurant, it must be done. These are a few things that you should provide, must do, blah, blah, blah. And then other things, you say, okay, this must be done. And, so there are so many musts
Yeah.
that we walk with that it is very easy to be disappointed.
Oh, yeah. That's true, actually.
Yeah. So even if you're eating something and it doesn't turn out exactly how it must, you would know it, talk about it, give feedback, all of that. So that is irritation about things not happening the way you thought they should.
I also feel like, I don't know, like I am like pretty indifferent towards, because I'm like, I can only feel this much, and then other things I'm just like either I'm completely into it or I'm completely out of it.
That I agree.
Yeah. Is it? Oh, does it show?
Yes, that
okay.
that also talks about when you give up, you give up completely.
Yeah.
What you're describing about a toy that you would play with.
Yeah.
And then when you're off, you're off.
Yeah. I feel that quite a lot. Like I have to keep asking myself, is this? And I feel like I've quit like quite a few things.
So it is not wrong to quit something that you do not enjoy or you do not feel connected to. No point dragging your feet around things that you don't see any value in.
Yeah.
What is important, I feel a lot, is keeping the journey of improving that area, that skill again and again.
Yeah, that journey should be fun also. Like how to make, you have to keep it enjoy, like.
Yeah, so I if you chase answers, you will find them and then that's your full stop.
Yeah.
In anything, right? I read a beautiful story. A man who was in search of a god.
Okay.
His god.
Okay.
He had read about him, he had dreamt about him. And he said, I want to find my god. And not like everybody has got my god.
My
the
God.
way I saw my god, I want to find my god.
Okay.
And he kept searching, kept walking. And because it's a story, one day he reached the doorstep of God's house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He reached there and he saw the nameplate. There were a few steps to go up to the door. He walked up and he was so excited. He said, now it's the moment I'm going to knock the door and I'm going to see my God. All of that was happening in his mind. And he reached there, he removed his shoes and he knocked, he was about to knock the door.
Yeah.
And he realized that if I find my God, then there is no journey.
Yeah.
There is no search.
Yeah.
So he stopped. He picked up his shoes, quietly walked out and told himself, I'm going to go and look for God.
Oh, wow.
Again.
What is...
And so many times we do that, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to find the answers, but we want to be on the journey.
Yeah.
Or we find the answers and we dismiss it and say, no, that wasn't good enough. So either I don't want to do this again, or I want to look for something else.
Yeah.
So that is a problem, I feel, when people only chase an answer to a problem.
Yeah.
What if in your journaling or anything that you do, you keep asking yourself questions every day? For example, what can I write today that would be interesting for me?
Okay.
So for your brain, it's like a Google search question.
Yeah.
And it would start looking for things that it can write about. instead of saying, oh, I wrote this and it wasn't good enough. That's a conclusive answer to a problem.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people who learn photography in the learning phase more than as a professional, but in the learning phase when they walk around, they keep finding frames everywhere. Wherever they go, they're like, oh, this could be a great frame, that could be a great frame. And I feel that is the curious part of the story.
Yeah.
Right? What you did initially, I believe you would have also gone like, oh, that could be a good joke. Let me make a note of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was like a funny moment. Let me try to recreate it. And there was curiosity.
Yeah.
And then there was a phase where you felt, I got it.
Yeah.
I got the formula. And then it became boring. And then you don't feel inspired.
Yeah.
And you don't have anything to look forward to.
I don't know how to break this. Like,
to begin with, ask a question.
Okay.
So let's try this.
Okay.
Okay, let's try this for a month and tell me how you feel.
Okay.
So just ask yourself this question: what can I write about today that would be truly interesting for me?
For me, yeah.
Forget about other people for time being, but what would be that? And if you ask that question in the morning, you know, like I really feel it's a great way to hack your brain, where you really ask a question first thing in the morning or last thing in the night. Because your brain waves are going functioning at a different level, and they absorb it and you get better answers.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to start.
Yeah.
I'll
so
try
if you're journaling already,
yes.
Or if you're not, like start it.
Yeah, I should.
And I'm going to ask you to do a stroke that I call a flow of thoughts.
Okay.
It's a great patience building stroke, and I will show you.
Oh yeah,
after.
Patience is something that's definitely
I
needed.
already saw, so I'm like,
you saw it? Oh man.
So that would be a great patience building stroke.
And I want I used to be a terrible listener. I'm a little better now. But
I don't agree with you. I think you listen through observations.
Okay.
You might not listen by the way people listen and rephrase and make the other person comfortable. That you don't do because you're highly introvertish that way. But you listen by absorbing and observing a person. And if the person asks you, so what do you think about this? Your answers are quite matured and clear.
Oh, okay.
So I don't agree that you are not a good listener. I feel you are a great listener.
Yeah.
It's just that you're not a great communicator when you're listening.
Yeah, and that's my job. But
while listening. If you have to talk, you're good.
Okay.
But if you have to hold a conversation where you have to listen to people to speak, then you're like, but I was thinking about something else in my mind, and let me observe why this person is moving his chin like that.
Yeah,
so all of that
take
happens.
it to some other place.
Yeah,
yeah. What do we see? We were discussing something before this.
The flow of thought stroke.
Yeah,
it's a stroke that you do to really calm your mind, build more patience and focus. I will show you how to do the stroke. It's a stroke called SS formation. We'll also probably tag in this episode.
Yeah.
And everybody can see it.
All right.
But let's do that. And with your 30-day journaling, where you ask yourself a question about writing, let's try this.
Okay.
30 days generally are good enough to experiment with a habit.
Yeah.
So that should be good.
Yeah. All right.
Any other question you have, Siddharth?
I'm good for now. If you have some other things that you want to tell me,
I want to tell you.
Sorry. Yeah, you can.
No, go ahead.
Does it come across can you see stress levels?
Oh, stress levels. I think people around you are more stressed than you are.
People around me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean at times. Actually most.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
But I feel for you, stress is overthinking.
Yeah.
Nothing else. You're not very invested in what are you doing and how it's going to materialize. All of that is not your stress point. For you, if somebody makes a comment that you don't understand, if you come across a problem that you do not have a process about, or new diet, follow this, and you're like, how will I follow this without having my opinion around it?
Like fear of the unknown, sort of?
That's a large term.
Yeah.
But I think it is experimenting and stepping into imperfection.
Oh. Which is,
fear of unknown, I feel it's a random term. You don't know what to do with it. But if you know that I am trying to dismiss things because I'm unfamiliar with them, then you can...
Unfamiliar is a better word.
Yeah, you can do something to familiarize.
Yeah.
But if you say unknown, then you can never do anything about it. I feel like we're not in that complicated space in life.
Yeah.
We just want simpler answers to begin with.
Yes.
So if you feel stressed, for you that means you have a question that is compulsive and that is bothering you non-stop.
Yeah.
and you overthink and you keep thinking, you can't get it out of your mind. That is stress for you. Otherwise, some people are stressed about the results, about the money, the rewards, the recognition. Luckily, those are not your problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your problem is like, I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have already spoken about things you can do to help yourself figure things out.
Yeah.
Or reduce your perfection a bit.
Yeah.
That is experimenting.
That is experimenting.
Yeah. So
and you were saying something else also before this for me.
I was saying that if you experiment, that was my point actually.
Okay.
If you experiment as a regular habit, your need to figure it out and fix it will reduce.
Reduce, yeah.
Which I think is a great thing for all of us. You know, if you only go to places which serve you exactly what you want, you would never know new things on the menu.
That's true.
So, on new restaurants or new places that you can, you know, try.
Yeah.
So, though you may be disappointed in a few, you may also discover something that is fascinating. So, because you don't choose one, you also do not get the other side of the story.
So, the point is to experiment.
Experiment as a regular habit. So, every month, ask yourself, what will I experiment with this month? And then next month and next month. So, keep experimenting and don't break the habit if you can of concluding things quickly.
Don't break the habit of...
Do break the habit.
Do break the habit.
Do not conclude quickly. Break the habit of concluding.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
Yes.
I wasn't expecting this at all, to be honest.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, and also we do it like that. I do not call our guests and I do not speak with them before the show because I want all of this to happen on the show. Let me tell you why. Because we are in a country where we still have slight stigma around asking people about our problems, about ourselves.
Yeah.
And
also
visiting therapists and
interviews that are made up also. Most of them.
Yeah.
Pre-decided questions.
And I was so happy when IVM as a platform allowed this concept to be a free-flowing, authentic, vulnerable conversation. Because otherwise everything is so scripted.
Yeah.
You know, when you pause, when you ponder, when you say, I don't know this. Now that is a space for all of us to think. Not only for you, but for me to think, for the listeners to think. And this is how you solve problems.
Yeah.
So I feel this is like you being on the show and you asking these questions. Is everybody looking at those perspectives differently? Which I find so powerful.
It is. I don't know about for me, but I hope it is for others. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm going to tell you how to do the strokes that we are talking about.
Yeah.